Welcome to Buildathon 2026, and I am delighted to see that we have quite a number of people on the call this morning. So, welcome to each and every one of you. I know it's early in your region, so we appreciate you taking the time to join us here live this morning. Buildathon 2026. So, what is it? It's a global student competition that is taking place today and tomorrow over the next 34 hours. It's a global Autodesk learning partner competition, and it's going to give you, the students, real world experience of working with Autodesk technology. What we want you guys to do is to perform an outcome-based BIM project. This project is going to run over 2 days, and you are going to work in teams, and many of you are in teams already, teams of 2, teams of 3, teams of 4, and we want you to compete in these teams to simulate a realistic work scenario and promote this collaboration by using Forma site design and Autodesk Revit. We are delighted to report that we've had a lot of interest in this global student competition. It is the first time we've run something global, so I'm thrilled to say we've had representation from over 34 countries. So you can see on the screen at this moment in time, we have quite a wide representation across the globe. So again, welcome to each and every one of you. We are thrilled to have you here, and we're very, very excited for this global competition. And just to give you a brief overview of the team that have been involved in this, there's been quite a number of people working in the background over the last number of weeks and months to bring this design competition live here this morning. So there's been quite a few people joining me here on the call this morning is Thomas Carlson, who will be speaking to you all later on, and he will present to you the live technical brief that you will need before you set about going about your project. In addition to this, we have a number of people in marketing, support, and in the applications as well. So there's been a lot of background work going on, and some of you on the call may have heard or from some of us or some of my colleagues over the last couple of weeks and months. In addition to this, we want to say a special thank you to the Autodesk Learning Partners who have been very, very supportive in this competition. They have organised regional events and training, and many of you here on the call may have gone on training in your local region and in your local languages. So thank you to all these guys here today. So on to the sponsors. I want to say a special thank you to 2 sponsors. The first one up is 3D Connection. The 3D Connection range of software is a very, very powerful tool that is very, very useful when working in your daily life in the CAD environment. Throughout the course of this competition, we have some Space Mouse Wireless that we will be giving away to the winning team, as well as CAD Mouse Pro Wireless that will be going to a special mention category. Our other sponsor is Global E-Training. A big thank you to them, where they are going to provide the students, the winning team, with a 12-month subscription to Global E-Training for all winning teams. And again, we have a special mention category for this as well. So what we want you guys to do is enjoy this. We want you to share the excitement. So please keep an eye. I know you're going to be busy over the next 2 days because you have a full competition brief to work with in your teams, but keep an eye out for, share your updates with hashtag Buildathon 2026, hashtag Autodesk. But if you get a moment throughout the course of the next 2 days. So the timeline. So we're here this morning, August the 18th, which is the official opening of the competition. So in the next few moments, my colleague Thomas will be presenting to you the competition brief. And this is very important because this is the technical brief that you guys are going to need over the next 2 days to perform your project collaboratively. So you will have a total of 34 hours to complete this project. Hopefully that will give you some time to have some rest, to eat, and it's not all work. We're hoping that, the 34-hour window will give you plenty time and scope to get this project together. And then on August 19th at 6 p.m. in your local time zone, you will be submitting. You need to dedicate one member of your team to submit the competition. And we will be sending out an email at the end of this briefing which will have your competition link and your submission link on it. In addition to this, we will have an award ceremony on September the 10th, where we'll be announcing all winners and there will be a celebration for all competitors through the online award ceremony. We will be sending that link to you guys also. But for now, I'm going to hand you over to Thomas, who's going to speak to you about the technical brief.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. And also from my side, I'd like to say a very warm welcome and thank you to everyone who's joining us today for joining the Autodesk Buildathon 2026. So as Vanessa mentioned, I also work on the organization team, and it's my pleasure to now spend the next 10-15 minutes sharing what this competition is all about and what you will be working on in these next 2 days. We will go through the competition brief, share a schedule of accommodation, give some advice on how you should approach this. We'll talk about the nice awards that are in store for you and those teams that win. And we'll also, at the very end, cover how you actually submit your project at the end of these 2 days. So make sure you stay tuned until we've covered all these content pieces. We will also email out everything you will see on the screen right after the call. So you will also have access to this information in writing right after we're done with this briefing. But let's get started. So your Buildathon challenge is to design a learning and innovation hub. We have deliberately not given you a set site. Instead, we're asking you to select a site that is relevant to your context. This could be a site on your current campus. It could be a local urban site that you're aware of, a brownfield or regeneration site, or another location that is meaningful to your community. This means that everyone will begin with a slightly different context, different climate conditions, and different surroundings. And that context should influence your designs. There are 4 broad ambitions behind this challenge and the competition. It's about showcasing digital collaboration within your team, that you work together. We're hoping that you will take a sustainability mindset to your designs. We want you to work with Autodesk tools and use those throughout the whole workflow. And we want you to respond to the local climate and contextual constraints that your site will have. This is on the intention to make this challenge similar to a real world scenario that you would face once you're out in industry, working together, responding to the conditions around your building. You never design in isolation. Another point in this, which is very important to make, is that this is an outcome-based BIM challenge, BIM, Building Information Modeling. And what we mean by that is that every design decision you take needs a justification of why you took it and what's the baseline, what's the analysis behind your decision. Again, that is to simulate a real-life scenario. And to pick up on that point, the competition is about how you arrive at the final result, not just the final result itself. To support you, we will be providing a schedule of accommodation, which I will share very shortly. Use that to develop your design and then analyze the building that you design using some of the points you see on this slide. The important thing we want to convey is that we want you to use data and analysis to inform design outcomes. You might test an initial idea, but find that, for example, the building receives too little sunlight, and then you will go back and update your design in line with those findings. So this is all about coming up with ideas, testing them through analysis and data, and then iterating until you arrive at an end result that is strong and meets the demands of your site. Before we go to the schedule of accommodation, let's look at some baseline requirements. So these are some things that we're asking all of you to follow. So first and foremost, select your own site, as I already mentioned. Then establish what we're calling a neutral or empty site analysis. And what that is your baseline for the site where you're going to place your proposed building. You need to understand the existing environmental conditions, and this gives you then a benchmark, which again, you can update your designs as you iterate. You must work in the Autodesk Revit and Forma site design applications per our instructions leading up to the competition. High level, Forma is where you analyze your site and the performance of your design. And Revit is where you build your floor plans and make sure that you are in line, that what you design follows the schedule of accommodation. The schedule of accommodation, which we will look at in the next, on the next slide, is really important, and you need to adhere to all the aspects that are addressed there. We will provide this in either metric or imperial measurements, and it's up to you which one you choose. We want you to run analysis, as I said, using Autodesk Forma site design. Make sure you capture your analysis data, because the competition is about how you arrive at the end result just as much as the end result itself. Do this by grabbing screen prints as you work through your project. And then finally, you need to submit, of course, since this is a competition. We'll cover a bit later on what specifically to include, but just high level, you will need to include floor plans, the building footprint, and your data together with a rationale for why you've taken certain design decisions. So I know this is a fairly long list to show you, a lot of text at once, but as I mentioned before, we will also send this information out. So then let's look at the schedule of accommodation, which is kind of your roadmap as you develop this. And again, quite a lot of text, so bear with me as I talk through. We are providing it in metric and imperial. I will use the metric version to explain the concept, but then you will have access to both, and it is, as I said, your decision which measurements you're most comfortable with using. So if we start with the table that you see on the screen, as you can see, the schedule of accommodation sets forth that you need to include 9 different zones in your learning and innovation hub. I won't go through the description, it's here to help you, but do take note of the area, the square meter area that each zone needs to have, and the number of required zones of each. This is very important. The different zones can vary in terms of the spaces it takes up, but one very important point is that you need to pay close attention to the building footprint, and that this must not be larger than 1,500 square meters. And pay attention to how we're defining the building footprint on this slide. So this is not just the foundation, in other words, the area that touches the ground, but rather the area of the building when viewed directly from above, measured to its outmost edges. So this is very important that your design follows that. Another important point we want to make is that, as you can see in the schedule in the table, we're setting out that you should include certain spaces, for example, point 2, a large computer lab. This competition is, however, not an interior design competition. So although we say that the computer lab needs to include fixed seating for 40 workstations, we don't want you to design those workstations. So we don't want you to spend time designing furniture, desks, etc. Focus on the overall layout, make sure that you include all the zones and have appropriate and logical relationship between the zones, but don't spend time designing furniture and other details. Net, my recommendation is that you take a few minutes right after the briefing to review the schedule of accommodation together with the requirements we had on the previous slide, and then let this be your roadmap for the next 2 days. Make sure you tick the boxes, so to speak, that your design includes this information as you start working on it. So we looked at the metric slide. For those of you who are more comfortable with square feet, this is exactly the same information in imperial measurements. It will also be included in the file we send out, and you choose which one of these you use. Now, let's look at how your different projects will be evaluated and assessed. Again, I won't go through all the details on here, but there's a few high-level points that we want to make already at this time, at the point in time. First, as you can see, the judges who will be part of assessing your projects once you've handed them in will look at them through 7 different categories. And each category has a set of areas that they will check your proposals for, and they will assign a weighting on top of that as well. So what does this tell you? Well, I would say don't spend too much time on understanding all the intricate details of this, but take away one high-level conclusion, and that's links to what I've said as part of this briefing. This competition is about how you arrive at the end result, just as much as the end result itself. And you can tell that by the weightings and the different categories, that the judges will actually want to see how you establish your baseline, how you worked on analyzing that baseline, and you're iterating and enhancing your designs all the way up to the final part, which is your submission. And make sure you also have a rationale for why you've taken certain design decisions. So that's it in terms of the evaluation criteria. We will send this out in email, and I'm sure that there might be some questions coming up as well. And we are here, the organizing team. We will do our best to support you throughout these 2 days. One thing I did want to mention, though, is that given that we're running the competition around the world, as you heard from Vanessa, that means that we are operating across different time zones. So right now, for example, it's 2 a.m. where I am in the night. So there will be a few times throughout these 2 days when our team is not online all the time, particularly in our nighttime. So our team is primarily based in Europe. If you submit a question during that time, it does mean that we might be a bit slower in replying to you. But rest assured, we will be around and we will pick up your questions. So don't worry in case there's a little bit of a delay as you now start working, and then we will be back online in a few hours again after that briefing. So how do you reach us then? Well, there's primarily 2 ways. You could either send an email to our help desk, which you should have received previous communications from. It's buildathon@knowledgepoint.com, and KnowledgePoint is the organizer together with our learning partner distributors for the competition on behalf of Autodesk. We've also created an app, which many of you have already joined. If you haven't, there's still an opportunity to sign up. The app is there to also submit questions, and it was used to give some interesting tips and tricks related to the competition challenge leading up to this. So even if you haven't joined yet, I think it could be useful to sign up for the app. You see a link here, and we can also put it in the chat shortly where you can access it. And in there, as said, you will also, in addition to being able to ask a question in the Contact Us tab, which you will see once you log in, there you type in your question, and that will be submitted to our team, and we will respond to it, as said. But in addition to that, there are some, in the news section, some tips and tricks which might help you as you start working on the competition brief. Okay, so that's the main information we want to share. We still have 2 very key pieces of information, so don't leave us just yet. I'm going to now hand back to Vanessa so that you can talk about the very nice awards that await our winners.
Great. Thank you, Thomas. So now that the tough technical challenge has been delivered by Thomas, I'm going to come along and remind you guys why it is that you've actually engaged in this competition, and to talk you through what the awards and the recognition looks like. So first up, for first prize, we have what we're calling the Global Impact Package. The winning team will be invited to a regional Autodesk office or Autodesk event or another relevant industry conference within their region. So within this, the team will have their travel and accommodation covered, and there will be a VIP networking dinner organized. and it will give the team an opportunity to showcase their final design to Autodesk and to receive feedback. And we feel this is important because it ties in with the whole ethos of what this competition is centered around, which is that career development piece. In addition to this, you get your Autodesk Certified Professional Exam Voucher, one per team member. There is a 12-month subscription to Globally Training that we spoke about earlier. And each member of the team gets a 3D Connection Space Mouse Wireless, as well as some Autodesk merchandise. We are estimating that the value of this entire package is in around $10,000. So it's a substantial prize and something very much worth competing for. Moving on then to second place, we have the Professional Mentorship Program. So this is an organized virtual mentorship pairing with an industry leader within the AEC space. So it's going to be 15 to 20 hours for the second place team that can spend time with an industry expert. In addition to this, you have your Autodesk Certified Professional Exam Voucher, your 12-month subscription to Globally Training as well, and some Autodesk merchandise. And we're saying the value of this prize is $5,000. And then moving on to third place, we have the Autodesk Certified Professional Exam Voucher again, 12 months subscription to Globally Training and Autodesk merchandise. But we're not stopping there. We want to also have some awards for some teams that will be handpicked by the Autodesk members in the Buildathon jury. This is our special mention category, and winners within this category will receive one of the following: the Autodesk Certified Professional Exam Voucher, or a 12-month subscription to Globally Training, or a 3D Connection CAD Mouse Pro Wireless. So there's lots of prizes up for grabs, guys. You have first, second, and third place, and quite a number of special mentions as well. So the best of luck to you all as you compete over the next 2 days. Also to remember, there will be an announcement that will be shared online for the award ceremony, which will be taking place on September the 10th. We will send that on link to you all.
Let's now talk about some very important information: when and how you will submit your project at the end of the 2 days. You may already have taken note in the email information we shared with you, and also in the live briefings we've had, that we have decided to split the world into 3 time zones, which is because this competition is truly global. We have APAC, EMEA, and US East Coast, which also includes the entire Latin America region. You will have received emails to indicate which of these time zones you are part of. And this is important for 2 reasons, because each time zone has its own competition submission form, and it also has its own deadline marked in UTC time. You see both the deadlines and the submission form URLs on the right-hand side of this slide. I do encourage you to double check the time zone. You can use the world clock, for example. Then, once you're ready to submit your project, we kindly ask that you only do 1 submission per team. So in other words, if you can please choose 1 person on your team who represents you and submits the information as part of the competition. That individual uses the Google form for your region, and what needs to be included is the following. So first and foremost, all the information you include needs to be in English. And this is again because it's a global competition and we want to ensure fairness across the world. Then we kindly ask that you create 1 PDF file, which includes the following content: your floor plans, which you can get from Revit. We want you, or we need you even, to approve that you have adhered to the requirements in the schedule of accommodation in respect to the building footprint. Refer to the information shared about what that means in that section. We also mentioned previously that we want you to show the analysis that you run in Autodesk Forma site analysis. As a minimum, please include daylight potential, noise, solar energy, sun hours, and wind for each of your concepts. And you show these by grabbing screen prints. You may include more data, that's your choice, but these are the minimum level that the judges would like to see. And finally, please add a short rationale that explains the design decisions you've taken based on your data. This should be around 100 to 150 words. And as said, all of this information should be compiled into one PDF file that you will upload through this form that we're using. And what does that form look like? Well, it has 3 sections. First, we are going to ask you to reconfirm your team's contact information. And we're doing this just to be 100% certain that we have accurate information for all of your team members in case your team is one of the shortlisted winners in the competition. So if you could please reconfirm the name of the team, the country you're based in, and your different team members. Then you click next and you get to the part where you submit your project. So here's where you will upload the PDF file that we just discussed. And then finally, there's a third section where we have included 3 questions about your experience participating in the Buildathon. I should indicate that these 3 questions are completely voluntary, so you don't have to reply to them. We would, of course, appreciate if you wanted to share your feedback so that as it will help us structure future competitions and events that we run. One very important note on this though, even if you don't want to answer those 3 final questions, you still have to scroll to the bottom of that final screen and click the submit button. Your project will otherwise not be saved and therefore not submitted to the competition jury. So please remember that. That's a very important point. Upload the file, click next, scroll to the bottom and click submit, and then you've entered the competition. And that's all it is. So now back to Vanessa to round us off.
So guys, we're almost there. Just a couple more things. After the event, there will be an email following up. Now, this information is going to be sent to you and it will include everything that Thomas spoke about earlier, including the project brief, the technical brief. That will be sent by a knowledge point. In fact, I've just triggered it to go there a short few moments ago, and I think some of you may have received it already. So please let us know if you have not received this email. Once the competition closes, we will send another message, including an invitation to join our online award ceremony on the 10th September. So keep an eye out for that. There's an Autodesk certificate that all participants will receive. This is a great addition to your CV and resume. So please keep an eye out for an email that will be coming next week from a no reply Autodesk email. And it will ask you to log in to the training evaluation system to download your certificate. We encourage all of you to do this. And again, this is just some final points here. We're talking to the APAC team. It's a quick reminder of the deadline for the competition. It is 10 a.m. UTC on August the 19th, which gives you 34 hours to get this competition brief ready and together. And a reminder as well to all of you to submit your questions through one of 2 forums. We have the competition app that you can still sign up for, as Thomas said, and submit your questions through this. And we have the Buildathon at Knowledge Point email as well. So please reach out to us if you have anything that you need support with. And with that, we are going to sign off with a quotation from Winston Churchill, who said, "We shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us." We think this might be fitting for the Buildathon, and we want to thank you all for your time this morning and for coming to be here live with us and for joining Buildathon 2026. We wish you the very, very best of luck over the next 2 days.